2018 Infiniti QX50. It's no secret the QX50 hasn't exactly lived up to the expectations that Infiniti set for it, ultimately prompting an intensive update for the 2016 model year. Come 2017, and we were staring the Infiniti QX50 concept in the face at the Detroit Auto Show. Only a couple months have passed since then, and now we're looking at spy shots of the first prototype of the next-gen QX50 putting in work on public roads. While it's heavily covered in camo and padding, we can still make out some styling cues, and as luck would have it, it looks like it will get at least some of the design DNA we saw in the QX50 concept. Of course, it won't have those cool electronic door poppers and the overall styling will be toned down a bit, but it should be a huge departure from the current model and could very well give the SUV a chance at survival in an overcrowded market. Now, before we go too far into it, the new QX50 will be based on a couple of different models. See, the next-gen QX50 is based on the QX50 concept, which happens to be based on the QX Sport inspiration concept that was showcased at the 2016 Beijing Auto Show. So, as you can see, the next-gen QX50 will have some pretty significant DNA heritage when it finally disrobes. There's no official timetable, so we can't say for sure when it will make its official debut, but the Frankfurt Auto Show in September is out of the question, with customer deliveries kicking off sometime in the first half of 2018. So, with that said, let's dive on in and see what we can spot through all over the camo on this prototype. So, for starters, this prototype is wrapped heavily in black tape, and what resembles garbage bags all held together by black duct tape. Okay, so it isn't that ghetto, but it's certainly concealing, and that is the point I'm trying to get across. In comparison to the QX50 concept, you'll notice some of the same design cues, like the shape and recess of the front grille, the mesh that's been painted black within all of the openings in the nose, and the LED strip at the top of the headlights. Of course, the headlights are nowhere near as sleek as those on the concept, but they should have a fair resemblance in the grand scheme of things. Further down, it looks like the QX50 will have a larger air dam, and the corner vents will be much larger than those of the concept. There's no telling what the hood will look like, but the front end should be quite stylish, to say the least. We haven't gotten a look at the interior of the QX50 prototype, but I think we can look at the concept for a general idea. See, to our surprise, the cabin of the latest concept was far from futuristic and actually somewhat close to what we would expect to see in a production model. Expect to see the dash blend nicely with the door trim panels. The upper trim levels may get the quilted, soft touch surfaces as we saw in the concept, but I wouldn't expect that on the entry-level model or the lower trims in general. The dual infotainment display may carry over with the majority of interior functions controlled by the lower touchscreen as opposed to having a bunch of buttons throughout the front of the cabin. The production model should get at least a semi-digital instrument cluster, but upper trim levels could get an all-digital unit. Like the QX50 concept, the production model should get Infiniti's new VC turbo, variable compression engine. It can change the height of the pistons in real time to adjust the compression ratio as needed for performance or fuel economy. The target output for this engine is said to be 268 horsepower and 288 pound-feet of torque. It's said to offer as much as 27% better fuel economy over V6 engines of similar power output, which means fuel economy figures should be somewhere around 31 miles per gallon on the highway and 21 miles per gallon in the city. The combined rating will likely be around 24 miles per gallon. There's no word on transmission choices, but I wouldn't expect a manual transmission, that's for sure. Options may include a CVT transmission or possibly an 8-speed automatic unit. Higher trim levels may even get paddle shifters, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that one. This thing is more about luxury than anything else. The current QX50 starts out at $34,650 as of the time of this writing, but with the QX60 starting out at $43,100, Infiniti doesn't have a whole lot of room to play with entry-level pricing. Expect to see a pricing increase, but not too big of an increase, maybe $1,500 at most. That would bring the starting price up to $36,150 or so, which isn't too bad if the next-gen model ends up looking as good and being as comfortable as the concept that we saw in Detroit.